Cooking in Genshin Impact, let's talk about it!
Hello everyone, my name is Seth, you're watching Cookie Presents, and today we will be looking into 4 must-know tips about cooking in Genshin Impact, and if you stick around to the end of the video, 2 more bonus tips to keep your food usage optimal. Besides the obvious healing, food is used in a few quests, dailies, or commissions rather, and especially now with 1.1's reputation system, most of the new requests need either food or an ingredient to complete, and having a wider knowledge of the cooking system will help you prepare for your adventures better. Up until about adventure rank 15, your food selection will mostly be limited to healing dishes. At adventure rank 15, you get additional options. However, let's face it, you will still use it largely for healing, especially if not running a healer like Barbara or Gigi. Seriously though, if you are running out of food and ingredients, slot in a Barbara out of combat, pop her skill and give it a few seconds. It's either that or find the statue of the 7. Good luck. Right then, let's dive into the video with our tip number 1, obtaining recipes, or rather expanding your recipe book. So apart from a few starting recipes and a few rare quest rewards, you will need to look around a bit to fill up your recipe book to make sure you are stocked up for every occasion. A lot of recipes can be bought in restaurants in Liyue and Mondstadt, so make sure to visit them from time to time, as those recipes will be a large part of your recipe book. They are adventure rank locked and unlock every 5 adventure ranks starting at adventure rank 15. You should have most of them by the time you reach adventure rank 30, although several will require higher adventure rank. Speaking of vendors, make sure to stop by Boo Boo Pharmacy, Vergoldet, and Ms. Bai, as all 3 of them carry recipes. Some of them more useful than others, but still all of them are worth picking up, as more options are better than less options. I should put that on a shirt. 2 more recipes are available as domain exclusives, unlocking at adventure rank 15. We've got Mondstadt Hash Brown from Temple of the Wolf, and starting at adventure rank 21, you will be able to obtain Cold Cut Platter from Eagle's Gate domain. And to top this list off, we've got 3 more recipes that are available through exploration and completing world puzzles. Barbados Ratatouille, I give up if it's not pronounced correctly, it is what it is, let's move on. Obtained from Vind on Stormbearer Point after exhausting her conversation options. Great dish that helps with stamina consumption, a great deal, so make sure to stop by Vind and pick this recipe up. Mushroom Pizza, Precious Chest north of Storm Terror's lair. A useful recipe to have, so make sure to stop by the location and pick it up. And last on our list, but definitely not least, the recipe for Adeptus Temptation is found at the top of the Wind puzzle above Qingjun Peak, where you will eventually be guided by a quest, but make sure to pick up the recipe as it is the most powerful food buff currently available. Now, as your recipe list grows and expands, you will start requiring ingredients that are in limited supply at a few vendors and otherwise annoying to get. Looking at you, meat products. Not all of those you can make are super useful, but let's cover these things in our tip number 2, food processing and vendors. The game does a pretty terrible job of talking about this compared to how important it actually is. Some of the best recipes and certainly most green rarity and above recipes require some form of processed foods. So what is processing? Simply put, it's the act of transforming certain raw ingredients into ingredients that can be used in cooking. Wheat to flour, meat to sausages, sweet flour to sugar, sugar to jam. Things you keep in stock will greatly depend on what kind of foods you constantly cook, but if you're having issues keeping up with demand, here are some vendors that stock useful processed foods and meat. Both general stores in Mondstadt and Liyue carry food items, but since none of those are processed, I won't get into them. Their stocks are large and reset daily, so they effectively have quote-unquote unlimited supply. Shop in Liyue has additional items compared to the store in Mondstadt, and will allow for preparing of some additional recipes when you stock up on them. Both cities have restaurants that sell processed food, and while Mondstadt does have the upper hand with a bigger selection of processed food available, One Min restaurant does balance the scale slightly by having a 3-day cooldown on its limited supply, as opposed to Good Hunter's 7-day restock time. I do recommend stocking up on some processed food that you know you will be using, by trying out to buy out the entire stock consistently will definitely run your Mora into the ground. Speaking of limited supply, we also have Draft in Springvale, a hard-working and a hard-drinking hunter who sells meat and fowl, 10 of each daily, barley. Both of those are a pain to farm and are quite valuable as a food basis for a lot of items, both healing and otherwise, so make sure to stop by Draff and give him some booze money occasionally. On the other side of the spectrum, we've got Uncles Sun and Gao, who as it turns out are trying to scam us together. That's okay, we don't mind. They're still a precious fish source, and even if you buy out all of it, which just don't, it still comes out to 300 mora per fish. If you buy at 225 and 300, you will come out with a nice chunk of fish at a slight discount. Basically, just don't buy the 3 fish for 1,000 mora deal. It's really not a deal. Alright, so we got the recipes stocked up on things we didn't even know we need, and it's now time to cook. No, the chef selection is probably the most important choice you have when cooking. Well, the only one really. And it can directly change the outcome of your dish, so stick around for tip number 3, food abilities. Basically, we've got 2 different types of food abilities. We've got either bonus food abilities that give you a 12% chance to receive an additional product when you cook a perfect dish. This is amazing for just stocking up on dishes that you know you will need, such as healing items before a farming run, or any other item you know that you will need a lot of. Special food abilities, on the other hand, are not a bonus, but instead have a chance to turn one of your perfectly cooked dishes into a more powerful custom version. Once you unlock auto cooking, every time you cook the dish, you will have a chance of turning it into one of these special dishes. The dishes produced are character specific, but are always more powerful than their delicious variants. Personally, I like using this for buff food, so I have stronger buffs in co-op domains and other content where I feel that more buffing may be needed. Also, if I want to see bigger numbers. Of course, this also works on healing food that will simply do more healing. Both types of skills are super useful, and when available, food should always be cooked with either, although I'd give a slight advantage to bonus food item skills, as an additional item will always produce more healing. Bringing us to our first bonus tip of the day: don't eat your ascension materials. Ever notice how things like Joyun chili and calla lilies are used in some dishes? Guess where else they're used? Character Ascension. Do not eat your Ascension materials. I cannot stress this enough. Unless you're one of those people who have like 300 of each, in that case go ahead. You will need roughly 150 of gatherable materials to fully ascend a character, and keeping in mind that some materials are used by multiple characters, you can quickly find yourself in quite a bit of a pinch for what you thought was everywhere. Don't forget to like the video if you find it informational, and subscribe for more similar content. Stick around to the end of the video for our second bonus tip, but right now let's get into our tip number 4. Simply put, recommended dishes. Let's start with the healing food and move up from there. Crystal Shrimp, a green quality food that restores 22% of your character's HP, which is a nice chunk of HP on its own. What's additionally special about it is that all of its ingredients, shrimp, meat, rice, and carrots, are buyable at the Liwa General Store, making this a great food to stock up on to make sure you don't use up your rare ingredients during farming. Mushroom Pizza is another green quality item that will heal your character for quite a bit, costing only a few mushrooms to make. Moving on to stat foods, we do have a few highlights, but I would be absolutely remiss not to mention Adeptus Temptation. As the single best stat food in game, its high ingredient cost will prevent you from eating it everywhere, but I do definitely recommend keeping 1 or 2 for your weekly boss runs, as it will help you greatly. For all you Razor fans out there, as well as anyone else looking to buff their physical damage, our chef's recommendation is the Cold Cut Platter. This dish provides a massive boost to physical damage, turning you into a proper powerhouse. This will, however, tank your meat supply, since all of the ingredients are processed meat, ham, bacon, and sausage, requiring 7 meat per 1 dish, and 1 mint. So, you know, plenty of those around. As a more of a general buff food recommendation, I'd say sauteed matsutake with its massive attack buff should be sufficient for anyone wanting to boost their attack while not focusing on physical damage entirely. With 3 matsutake and 2 pine cones, this is not something you will be making in unlimited quantities, but is definitely worth keeping a few in your inventory. Alternatively, you can go for Come and Get It, which needs raw meat and fish, and in turn provides a massive crit boost. Either way, eating one of the three before combat will definitely provide a significant boost to your damage. However, don't waste your food and keep in mind that food buffs of the same type do not stack. For the defense food, I'd recommend Fisherman's Toast, mainly since most other defense food requires essential materials to make, but in all honesty, I really wouldn't recommend defense food. Moving on to resurrection foods. All of my picks in this category are great quality foods as they still get the job done at a significantly reduced price when compared to higher qualities. My main pick in this category is Teyvat fried egg, due to its simple crafting cost of a single egg. Mondstadt grilled fish and Mora meat are close second due to their slightly more complicated recipes, but all three are super cheap recipes that you should be proficient in and carrying a stack of. Last but not least, we have the stamina foods, with Barbados Ratatouille being my number one food here due to its available, or rather buyable ingredients, offering a percentage decrease to stamina consumption while gliding or sprinting. Zhongyan Chop Suey, which while requiring ingredients that are arguably harder to source, also provides a bonus, or rather a reduction, to climbing stamina consumption. The only food with cooldown besides resurrection food, stamina restoration food. Here I would advise towards Northern Smoked Salmon as my choice for that sweet stamina restoration. Let us know what you thought of our food selection in the comments below. Did we skip a good dish? Which one? And for our second bonus tip of the video, it's gonna be another short one. Keep an eye on your character's toughness meter to make sure you can still heal when you need to. As characters eat, a little meter under their face fills up, and once it's full they will not be able to eat anymore, which doesn't sound like much to think about until it's mid of a tough battle and you can't eat to heal anymore. That's it for this video. Thank you for sticking around. Don't forget to drop a like and subscribe, and always remember, work hard so your cat can have a better life. See ya!